Hi there, and welcome to the Create With podcast, where we talk about how to build apps and businesses using AI without all the hype. I'm James. I'm here, joined by Kieran.
Hello, everyone. Good to be here.
Great to be back, and we've got some really exciting stuff to talk about this week. I'm really excited to dive into a ton of stuff. Claude Code, I know we're going to be talking about, building plugins for Bubble, GPT-5. There's just so much to get onto. But yeah, Kieran, how's things been going with you?
Yeah, very well, thank you. And as you said, I think we're excited to enter a new chapter of Create With, and we're really leaning into the fact that we want to be the calm corner of the internet when it comes to AI, not talking about everything as if it's something you must be doing. Here's 50 tools that you've got to know about today. I think we're going to be leaning into more thoughtful, kind of long form, insightful discussion on where AI is going. So, with that said, I should probably mention that this episode of the podcast has a sponsor, and that is Glide Apps. Now, Glide Apps was actually one of the first, I think it was the first no-code tool that I ever used. And it was really the one that opened my mind to this whole world. I remember seeing it on Product Hunt in 2019, and it said you can build an app from a spreadsheet. And that, for me as a spreadsheet user, sounded like a dream come true. And yeah, it was easily the best way to get into no code, and something that I've been recommending ever since. If you're a spreadsheet user, using Glide Apps, I think, is just a great way to be able to go beyond a spreadsheet into creating apps. Of course, Glide has completely changed and expanded its offering since then. So now their tagline is create AI-powered business apps that connect your data and tools, automate manual work, and scale as you grow, no coding required. But they still have the same underlying principles that you can really connect up any data source, and using a spreadsheet type interface, you can build custom apps for your business really quickly, portals for your customers, portals for your staff. And of course, they've got all kinds of AI features built in now, so you can build custom apps, or you can build AI agents that work within your apps, and it's very accessible. So if you are interested in doing any of that, if you're running a business that's primarily on spreadsheets or Google Sheets or anything like that, then definitely check out Glide Apps at glideapps.com. And now let's get on to what we're going to be talking about today. So Claude Code is something that we recorded a big session on earlier this week. I know that you have been talking about it for a while, and I found the session just mind-blowing, really. Just seeing what you're able to do with it. It's up on our YouTube channel now, so if you want to, after listening to this, go check it out. I would definitely recommend it. But James, do you want to explain a bit more about what we covered and why you like Claude Code so much?
Yeah, definitely. Because I think in the last episode we were talking about, it was on my list of things to try, and I'd been wanting to try it for a long time because there's so much hype around it. But I think probably like a lot of people, it is a little bit intimidating to get into for the first time if you're not a traditional developer, because you got to learn how to do stuff with GitHub and use the terminal and know all these commands and stuff. So I was a bit reluctant to try it, but I did end up trying it, and I got to admit I did get completely hooked on it for about a week. I think I posted this quite funny chart of my GitHub commit history. Which was basically completely empty until I discovered Claude Code and actually realized I can do some really cool stuff with this. And then, I kind of had a lot of those days where you get into flow mode, and I've just been making stuff until the early hours of the morning. It was that addictive. It was that cool. So, that has been really, really fun to kind of learn that, and I thought that's why I really wanted us to do that video, because I don't think there is that much out there for kind of non-programmery, non-developery people to get into using Claude Code. But once you get over getting the environment set up, which I think we cover in 10-15 minutes in the video, so getting creating a directory on creating a repo on GitHub, bringing that onto your desktop, opening it up in Cursor, installing Claude Code, that was all. You can do all of that in about 10-15 minutes if you follow the instructions, and that's where stuff gets really interesting then. So yeah, I've been building a couple of really, really big features for User Loop, some of which are out now and some of which are coming out before the end of August. And it's a lot of stuff that's been on my wish list for literally years, stuff that I've wanted to do, and I've never been able to do it because either using Claude or ChatGPT, the context window wasn't long enough to edit the massive amount of code that needed to be done or whatever it was. But with Claude Code, I've finally been able to ship a load of stuff, and the quality has just been fantastic. Really, really cool stuff.
And the other option, of course, is that you would have had to pay a developer to do it for you, and then you would have had a load of code that you couldn't really edit or understand. So just the fact that, you've probably saved thousands of pounds, and you have the ability to go in there and edit the code and get it to add new features is definitely a step change in where we were a few years ago, if not a few months ago.
Yeah, I mean, that's literally, I'm sure we've covered it on the podcast before, but there are certain parts of my app that are coded, and for that I would work with kind of freelance developers to do stuff, which, yeah, like you say, is expensive. It's also quite slow. Like that whole process of writing out a new feature, having it built, getting it back, testing it, iterating, all the changes, that loop in itself is slow. So yeah, basically with Claude Code being able to go to making a plan, like going back to kind of being a product manager again, but instead of talking to an engineer, I'm talking to Claude Code, and that's doing the work. But yeah, I'm really, really excited about it. It's been, I do definitely recommend, if you have considered having a look at it, to give it a go. Start with something simple. Have a look at our tutorial. We really did keep it simple. But yeah, within a couple of hours, I was editing like all this code that had been sat there, some of it for years, because just hadn't got around to changing it, and suddenly redoing entire chunks of the app using this using Claude Code. So yeah, that has been a real kind of eye opener over the last week or two. I haven't been using it that long, so yeah, been loving that.
And that's really what I find about all of this stuff is everything. At least I don't know if this is just my brain, but everything looks like it's going to be difficult, and I put it off and I put it off. And this includes like if I'm building features in Bubble, which obviously I know very well, I put stuff off because I think it's going to be complicated and difficult. But when it comes down to it, if you just follow the steps and like Google stuff and ask AI to help you, there's not much you can't do if you're willing to like devote a bit of time to it. And everything after I've done it, I'm always like, that was way easier than I thought it was going to be. So I guess like the message is like, try not to be intimidated by this stuff. Just give it a try. Find a good tutorial, because there's nothing worse than finding a tutorial where they're like, you just do this. They don't explain anything, and then you try and do exactly what they did, and it doesn't do the same thing, and it stops working. That happens to me all the time. So find a good tutorial, just follow it closely, and yeah, just learn like that, and you get this enormous sense of accomplishment when it actually works. So yeah, that's getting a bit philosophical there, but yeah, it's crazy the stuff you can do. And like I had a friend message me yesterday, and he was like, do you know about app development? Can you put me in touch with a developer, because I've got this idea for an app that I want to build. And I was like, oh my god, where do I start with I was like, how far along is this idea? Like, just give me a rough idea of the complexity, because I didn't want to be like, okay, I'll put you in touch with a developer, and then he goes off and then he ends up spending 10,000 or 20,000 or more on getting an app developed like the old school way. So in the end, I was like, you could, like, I told him, all the startup stuff, like, validate it first, find the core feature, just build that before you don't go and like, he was like, I think I want a native iOS and Android apps. And I was like, no, you probably don't at this point. And then he was like, yeah, what if someone steals my idea? So I was like, gave him a very quick rundown of like all the old startup knowledge that we know. But yeah, in the end, I suggested like, just go onto a vibe coding site and just vibe code the most core feature, or don't even do that, just it was an idea. It was basically a marketplace idea, which is, as we know, very difficult to get traction for. So I was like, why don't you try starting it as an email newsletter and just do it all manually first, and then build up from there. So, but obviously my advice now is like completely different from how it would have been like a year ago. So yeah, it's crazy if you're not staying on top of this. And like he kind of works in like media and stuff, so you would think would be on top of all the latest tools and stuff, but yeah, he absolutely wasn't. We are in a bubble for sure.
Yeah, it's just, and even in the bubble, it's unbelievably difficult to keep up with what's changing, because every week there's another model or another app or whatever. So yeah, I can completely understand how people kind of struggle, because I certainly do, and I'm kind of reading about it all the time. So yeah, no, and I think you were also using AI for some interesting other things as well. I mean, I know we've covered using N8N and all that kind of thing to automate business processes, so outside of building apps. But I think you've been using it for even things like accounting as well, haven't you? And asking questions about accounts.
Yeah, I find it's so helpful, isn't it? And like, yeah, so I've been using Claude. Not Claude Code, just the basic Claude, which I have I think I'm on $20 a month plan. But I've created a number of projects. And recently I'm kind of a trustee for a small charity. And recently our accountant retired. So we were like, oh, maybe Kieran can do the accounts. And I was like, okay, I did used to be an accountant, so I guess I could try. And yeah, so I basically uploaded all of our bank statements to this Claude project, which is like just a place where you can put all related stuff, and then you can ask it questions and it will be able to look at all the documents within your project. So I uploaded all of our bank statements, gave it a bit of background information, and I got it to do some cool stuff like consolidate all of these PDF bank statements into one CSV file, which I could then, open in Excel, and then also I could ask it questions about what was in the bank statements, and it could look through them all. It still made mistakes. It still confused debits with credits in the bank statement, which is really weird because it's very clear which column stuff is in. So that was strange. So you still have to keep a close eye on it, but it enabled me to get the accounts done, like really quickly, which I don't think I would have been able to do otherwise. And I was able to ask it questions like when I was submitting all the accounts, like, what does this mean? What does this mean? Obviously. And it was giving me answers. So that was like a really clear use case for it. And the other thing I did yesterday was I was working on the Create With website, and I needed to send calendar invites to people when they register for one of our office hours. And so I was asking like ChatGPT, like, how do calendar invites work? And it was like, you need to create an ICS, a .ics file, which is a plain text file, but in a specific format that calendars can recognize. So I started looking at that, but then there's no actual way to create one of those files in Bubble and then upload it. And so I looked in the plugin store, and there were like paid plugins, like $5 a month for this thing to create ICS files. And then I was like, maybe I could make my own plugin, which I've never done before. And so I asked ChatGPT to do it, and it started doing it. And then I was like, can you please, like, I went into the plugin editor, and stuff wasn't quite lining up with what I saw. So I said, can you read the plugin documentation and then tell me, like, give me simple instructions? And it did that, and it worked first time, and it's really great. I have my own plugin, or we have our own plugin for Create With, which creates these ICS files, and it has all the features I need. It works every time, and we're not having to pay $5 a month for it. So it was just, a great example, which obviously people who are listening to this probably know all the stuff you can do with AI. But yeah, it's actually when you do something and it works, it's still quite exciting, even when it's small like that.
Yeah. And I think building custom plugins for Bubble is such a cool topic. I remember at the Create With conference 2 years ago, I think Yusuf from Minimum Studio did a fantastic talk on that, and that really kind of got me curious. I haven't actually dived into it too much. I have made one custom plugin, which was for like some Shopify auth stuff that I had to do. But yeah, I'd love to maybe on a future session dive in a little bit more on how you did that step by step to kind of vibe code a plugin for Bubble. Because yeah, I'd love to learn more about how to do that. Because my kind of default way of doing stuff is just to go and do a Cloudflare worker, as we've covered. So I'd love to also just see how do you actually do it natively in Bubble as well. So that's a really interesting use case.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, and it feels like, you know, you wouldn't want to pay a lot for a Bubble plugin now if you can actually vibe code it yourself. Obviously, some of the more complicated ones, mine was a very simple example, but certainly you wouldn't want to pay $5 a month for something as simple as making a ICS file.
Definitely, if you're only making a couple a month, it makes sense to try and see if you can vibe code it. Plus, it means you've got full control over it, and you can update it as often as you like. So that's been fun. And I mean, the other big kind of AI news really since our last episode is GPT-5, which came out, and it had kind of a mixed reception, I'd say, or from reading Twitter anyway. A lot of people didn't like the way that it was working and the way it even spoke. But I've got to say, when I tried it out because I was in the middle of my kind of Claude Code frenzy, and there was something that I'd actually got stuck on in Claude Code, kind of UI wise. I was making a service to generate these PDFs, and Claude Code was actually struggling with getting the formatting and the design of the PDF to look really good. And I think I'd been stuck on it for a couple of hours since kind of 3 p.m. and I think GPT-5 came out at 6 p.m. I refreshed my browser, put the code in, and it fixed it on the first shot. So I was like, oh, this is really cool.
Nice.
It looked amazing. So I had quite a good first impression of it. And my experience of using it, I found it to be pretty good. I mean, I think it's quite a bold move from OpenAI that they removed all the other models pretty much. Like O3 was just gone, and there was that big uproar, and they brought back the 4.0 model after kind of removing it. But it was quite a bold release from them. I thought that they just kind of instantly swapped everyone over onto the new model, and some people really were kind of freaking out as well. Like they'd almost become kind of friends with the older model, so they really struggled with the new one, which is just a whole nother weird kind of paradigm, I guess.
Yeah, it is, and I guess it's going to become more and more common that people are like used to the AI model that they've been using and the way it interacts with them, and then it just suddenly gets replaced with another one. And although that one still has all of the knowledge of all of your past chats and everything, they might just have a slightly different personality. And people don't like it because effectively when you're talking to an AI, it's a bit like talking to a colleague or something. And if your colleague was suddenly replaced by another colleague who's a bit different, yeah, some people are not going to be happy with that. And as it is AI, there will always be some things that the older models were better at, like some niche cases that you're like, oh, they always give me a good result, and the new one is worse at. So it's not surprising that people are complaining. Personally, I've had mixed results as well. I found it's a few things. It's just completely hallucinated so confidently. Like I uploaded a picture from my daughter's like storybook, which had loads of different characters saying stuff in different languages. She wanted to know what all the languages were, so I uploaded the picture and said, tell me what all these languages are and what they're saying, and it confidently said like the person on the stairs is saying this, the person over there is saying this, and like gave me a long list. And I was like, wow, this is a great output, except it was completely wrong. All the languages, it just completely replaced them with its own. It was like, this person's speaking German, that person's speaking Spanish, this is what they're saying. And what they were saying was like kind of believable. So it had looked at the picture and it was like in a train station. So they were saying stuff related to train stations, but the languages were wrong. They'd got them all mixed up. There was no one speaking German on the entire page. And then at the end, it was like, I was like, can you double check this? And it was like, oh yeah, these are what I think they could, it could be saying in a kind of similar example. Do you want me to actually look at the picture and pick out the languages from that? And I was like, yes, obviously that's what I asked you to do. And then so it did it, but it did it again. It just came out with all these wrong languages, and then it was like, there, I've done it. And then I was like, are you guessing again? It was like, yes, I'm guessing again. Do you want me to actually look at the picture? And I was like, what is going on? This is so weird that it would go to the effort of hallucinating all this stuff when it has the image there, and it clearly has the ability to do it because it can see the picture. So stuff like that has happened a few times. And also I'm not too keen on the fact that it seems to take longer, because it's always in the deep thinking mode unless you click skip. But even if you click skip, it's still slower than GPT-4 used to be. But yeah, and sometimes I don't think it needs to think that long, does it? Like sometimes you give it a really easy question that should be quick, and it's like deep thinking about it, and you're like, well, I thought it was supposed to adapt to the question you asked and decide whether it needs to think for a long time.
Yeah, that I've definitely noticed that, and a massive variation in the output depending whether you use regular GPT-5 or thinking mode. And apparently the people who have the pro one that thinks even longer, the outputs from that are incredible. But very, very exciting. It's kind of one of these things that we've got to keep trying. And I mean, the one disappointment I had with it is I think that GPT-5 only seems to support the OpenAI responses API, not their old chat completions API, which everyone has used up till now. And I really have endless problems when trying to use the responses API. I just completely gave up on trying to swap parts of my app over to GPT-5 because I tried every AI model, Claude, Gemini, GPT-5, to write code to move my API calls from the chat completions to the responses API so I could use GPT-5. None of them worked, and it's really, really annoying. It's so annoying. So I don't know whether, even with giving it the documentation of the responses API, like saying this is how you must format your request, even then it wasn't working. So this is something that I just find occasionally when you're building stuff with AI, for whatever reason, there'll be some kind of system prompt or something in the actual AI itself that won't let you change the model, or just won't generate code in a certain way because it's against its rules, or what it thinks is correct but is now outdated. We see that a lot. So like when a new AI model comes out, it doesn't even know how to write code itself, can interpret over the API because it's just doesn't seem to have knowledge of it. So that was something I found kind of a little frustrating. The other thing that I've seen around is this new secretive image editing and image generation model called Nano Banana that's been popping up in all the LLM arenas. And
finally, a good name of an AI.
Yeah, and everyone basically thinks it's Gemini 3. And the examples that I've seen of it are absolutely astonishing, and Photoshop as a product is finished. Just from being able to like very, very realistically edit photos with written prompts. So I saw a couple of examples of like completely changing multiple people's outfits in a shot, and it looking picture perfect, absolutely perfect. But yeah, a completely another level of image generation quality. So I've got a feeling we're going to be seeing that probably within the next week or two, and I'm guessing it's going to blow OpenAI's image generation, which is kind of currently the one to beat. I think that's the one we all use probably the most. But yeah, I think Google have potentially got something quite interesting there. But yeah, some of the demos were really nuts. So yeah, we'll put a couple of those in the next newsletter because I thought they were really interesting examples, and just a great excuse to cancel my Adobe subscription.
Yeah, Adobe is so expensive. I'm really interested to see that, because so far I have not yet found an AI model that can take my face and change the clothes or put it in a different situation and keep my face the same, it always replaces me with this one guy who doesn't really look like me. He looks a bit like me, but I recognize his face. And I've tried on several different models, and it's always this other guy who I promise does not look like me. But it's just weird. It's like, I don't know, some AI glitch in the Matrix. I don't know if it's just me that experiences that. But yeah, I'm hoping to find one where I can just say, here's me, like, you know, do a picture of me in a suit looking cool or something.
Yeah, and I think a lot of the reason for that is that a lot of the current AI image generators, they attempt to recreate the whole thing. So it's the entire image there's no element of your original image left there. It's kind of what it's hallucinated together. I think what Google seems to have cracked with this new model is that it will basically be your original photo with the edits applied onto it. So it's not a copy. It's not a reimagination of your original photo. It is your original photo with edits. But like, so for example, only your clothes would be edited. It wouldn't have touched your face, for example, which is a lot more how people want to use it in real life. Like if you've got a picture of a product or something and you want to have that in a scene, you want that exact product looking exactly as it is. You don't want the AI tweaking it. So super exciting to see that. I hope I'm going to be using it for tons of marketing images, hopefully. So very, very excited for that. And the other big thing that I've been following is the Bubble Mobile contest. So I think we first spoke about this probably a month or two ago back at the Bubble House in Crete, where it was kind of started. And there have been thousands and thousands of submissions. And I've been kind of following the hashtag on Twitter, and I've seen some really, really cool apps that people have made with the new Bubble native mobile editor. I think my favorite one was an app to appeal your parking ticket fine, all done in Bubble. So it was very, very cool. You snap a photo of your ticket and your excuse, and then it submits it all and gets you off of it. So I thought that was pretty interesting.
Oh, that is amazing. That is probably the most important app ever built, I'd say. I hate those parking companies.
There's so many cool ones in that contest. So yeah, I definitely recommend checking out Twitter, the hashtag Bubble Mobile contest, and seeing some of those entries. And we'll probably feature a few in the newsletter as well, because there's some really cool ones. But yeah, that's really cool. I think we're going to be hearing the winner of that in the next week or two. So I think the judging is happening right now. So we will keep you posted on that. And speaking of updates, we've been completely revamping the Create With website with a ton of new stuff. That largely happened on our retreat, but it's all live for everyone to see now, isn't it?
Yeah, there's loads and loads of changes, loads of new additions, new sections like events directory. So like, yeah, we're using or you built this epic AI agent, which is like scraping the internet for all AI events that are going on globally, and then somehow parsing them and sending them into Bubble, so they're now showing in our events directory, which is just like epic. And then we've got a tools directory of all the AI tools, but obviously not all of them because that's way too many, but the ones that we actually like are in our directory. And then we're also pulling in like all of the podcast episodes, all of the videos that we do on YouTube, and various other stuff. So yeah, it's really coming together. And then obviously there's the members section as well, so that has a bunch of features like they can access perks, they can register for office hours calls and stuff like that. So just today I was working on, as I said, the calendar invites for the office hours, things like that. But it's amazing how quickly you can do stuff when you're working in a platform that you know well, especially when it's a visual development one. And I imagine in the future people are going to be vibe coding new features for their apps super quickly. But at the moment, for us, I think Bubble is still the fastest way to build, and it's just I'm just really enjoying like working on the site. I'm using a new kind of beta copy of this Bubble desktop app, which is the Bubble editor but in a desktop app, and it's like faster than using it in Chrome. There's loads of shortcuts, and ways to search your entire app. It's like really cool. It's built by this guy Alex Rainey, who's big in the Bubble community. So I'm trying that out, and it's made it even more pleasant to work with Bubble. So yeah, it's been a good experience.
Wow, I hadn't heard of that one. I'm excited to try that out. That sounds super interesting. It's been really, really fun relaunching the Create With website. I think probably one of my favorite things that we added was this AI automation. So every time we publish a YouTube video, we extract the transcripts and then pump it through this AI agent that then creates a page on the website with a blog post for the YouTube video and the YouTube video embedded on a page. And I was like, oh, wow, this is kind of a bit of what we've been trying to preach to everyone else is possible. Like we're doing a lot of this ourselves now, that's like automating all these production workflows where we would probably have taken an hour before to go and write a blog post about this podcast, for example, and mention all the tools and kind of tag them and everything. And we've got this fantastic agent in N8N hooked up to Bubble that will analyze this episode, work out what tools we've spoken about and tag them, and write that blog post. So I think that's probably been one of my favorite features. And the events directory is pretty cool as well. And the tools, we've managed to negotiate a bunch of discounts as well. So when you are on the Create With website, you'll see there's exclusive kind of deals that we've managed to do. This is the first few that we've got already, but we've got Replit, Make, Glide, and Jotform, tons of other apps on there that you can get an exclusive kind of discount for. So that's been really fun building that out as well.
Yeah, hoping that, obviously the aim is that we can automate as much of that kind of stuff as possible. And then I think it would make just a fantastic case study of, combining visual development tools with AI and what you can do. And then, we can teach everyone else how to do it, because, that's what it's all about. That's what we're here for. 100%.
And I think you've also been doing a bit of vibe coding as well for your new Domsday website. So maybe you want to give us a little quick update on that.
So I had this idea for a hackathon where you basically dive into your Namecheap account and find your favorite domain that you bought 5 years ago and have never used, and like actually put it to use, and you get 24 hours to ship something. And obviously with vibe coding, that is totally possible to do. In fact, it might take 5 minutes. But the idea is that you just have that time pressure to get it done, and then we'll have some judges deciding who has the best domain and app combo. And so I thought, of course, I'll vibe code the website for this. And I used Lovable, which is kind of my go-to vibe coding platform. And I probably spent, I was on holiday at the time, but I probably spent about a week doing an hour or two a night on this thing. And then at the end, I was just like, I just want to start this again. I got quite far, but when I was adding more and more features, and it was getting more and more complicated. And then when I was asking it to change things, like other stuff wouldn't be working quite right. And even just fiddling around with the design was a nightmare, because I'd just be like, add a bit more padding here and do a bit there, and it would take ages to do it. So I was like, you get a lot of downtime when you're vibe coding, because you just give one short prompt and then it spends ages doing it. So in the end, it didn't feel like that efficient a process, to be honest. Like if I'd have been doing it in Bubble, I could have done it way quicker and more efficiently. But I wanted to do it by vibe coding, and in the end I was just like, okay, we've done all this, give me a prompt that I can now feed back into Lovable in a fresh project to recreate this whole thing from scratch, but minus these 3 or 4 features which I actually don't want. And then I started again, but then it didn't look as good as the previous version. So I haven't actually launched it yet, which is a bit of a shame. But I am planning on getting it out there. But just to say, the vibe coding experience, if you're trying to build something that has actually a bunch of features and a database connected and stuff like that, and is more than just a single page site, it does become a bit confusing. And I think even the AI was getting a bit confused by the end of it. So not quite there yet with that. But you still hear examples of people who claim to have built 10k a month SaaS projects with vibe coding. So some people are doing it, but yeah, I haven't been able to successfully do that yet.
Yes, yeah. Well, it's interesting to follow along with that story, and we'll see next time. Hopefully, you will have got that published, or maybe we might have convinced you to give it another go and try and do it in Claude Code next time. That might be the other kind of thing you could give it a go.
Yeah, I'm definitely tempted.
Right. Well, that's it for this week. So that we have a couple of events coming up, actually. So the next kind of Create With event that's happening is in Montreal. That's on the 11th of September, hosted by our friend Benoit. It's going to be an amazing meetup. It's going to be sponsored by Make, and so it's going to be a fantastic evening. So if you're interested in that, you can find out more about it on our new events directory on the website. If you head to createwith.com and look at the events, you'll see it there, and you can register to come along. And then we also have events coming up in Barcelona, Madrid, Brighton, Norwich, and even I'm going to be hosting one in Thailand later in the year when I'm over there. So we have quite a few coming up. You can keep an eye on all of these on the website, and they'll also be in the newsletter. So that's it for this week. If you are interested in that Claude Code video, definitely head over to the YouTube channel and you can watch that video on there. We'd love to hear back from you if you found that useful, and if you did give Claude Code a go, we'd love to hear from you. So thanks very much, Kieran, and that's it for this week. We will see you next time.
Thanks, everyone.
Bye-bye.